Hello, North County Christian Fellowship. I want to thank you for indulging me with these videos. It really helps me try to figure things out sometimes when I get to share it with somebody else. So, thank you. Well, a while back I was reading through the book of Joshua. I was in chapter 14, which is the part where Joshua assigns the territories of the promised land to the leaders of the tribes of Israel. I won't go into all the details. But there's a part in that chapter where Joshua's kind of wrapping things up, and a man named Caleb comes to him. Caleb tells Joshua that 45 years ago, God promised him that he would be given some of this land. And Caleb tells Joshua straight out that he wants it. Joshua chapter 14, verse 12, Caleb says, "Give me today this hill country which the Lord then promised me." Just like that. Give me today this hill country which the Lord then promised me. Now keep in mind, Caleb is talking to Joshua, but Joshua is following God's direction. So essentially, Caleb is talking to God. And he's telling him, I want my land, and I want it today. I flip back through the chapter wondering, who is this guy? Caleb did not sound familiar to me, not like Noah or Moses or David. Give me today this hill country which the Lord then promised me. And I thought, I don't think Caleb gets it. You can't just boss God around like that. You can't be an arrogant jerk with him. God pretty much hates that, actually. So I was pretty sure Caleb was about to get in big trouble. And I admit, I was kind of looking forward to it. Verse 12, give me today this hill country which the Lord then promised me. Verse 13, Joshua blessed Caleb and gave him Hebron for his patrimony. Joshua blessed Caleb and gave him Hebron for his patrimony. God gave Caleb the land. Why would this arrogant guy be rewarded? I needed to find out. So I went back to the point 45 years earlier where God made the promise to Caleb. It's in Numbers chapter 14, verse 24. God says, "But my servant Caleb had a different spirit. He followed me with his whole heart." He followed me with his whole heart. His whole heart. That's why God made the promise, because Caleb followed him with his whole heart. I went back and read Joshua chapter 14 again. The second time through, I realized Caleb wasn't being arrogant. That was my own experience twisting his words. Because I tend to tiptoe through life. I don't want to bother anyone. I don't want to be pushy. And I certainly don't want to boss anyone around, especially not God. But God made Caleb a promise, and Caleb believed him. He believed him with his whole heart. That's not arrogance, it's faith. Caleb had waited 45 years for the time to come when the land would be divided and God's promise would come true. He'd waited 45 years trusting and believing the whole time that God's promise would stand. Caleb believed what God told him. So he went to Joshua and said, "Today's the day." We're in kind of a kooky time right now. And this is not the time for tiptoeing. This is the time for believing. This is the time for following God with our whole heart. In Isaiah 43, God tells us, "When you pass through deep waters, I am with you. Have no fear, for I am with you. I will make a way even through the wilderness." When you pass through deep waters, I am with you. Have no fear, for I am with you. I will make a way even through the wilderness. That's a promise from God. Believe it with your whole heart. Believe it. God is with us in the deep waters. God is with us in the wilderness, in this crazy time of wandering and not knowing what's coming next. He is with us. God made Caleb a promise, but there was a point at which Caleb had to cash in on that promise. He had to go to Joshua and say, "Today's the day." And now it's our turn. God has made a promise to be with us and to make a way. And we get to cash in on that promise. With our whole heart, we get to say, "Be with me, Lord, in the deep waters, in this crazy wilderness. Be with me and make a way. You promised, and I'm cashing in on that promise. Today's the day. Today's the day." Amen. Go get 'em.